Hi friends, this is Shekhar Srinivasan and welcome to my new video series on C# 9 new features. This series consists of 3 videos where in this first video I will discuss about 5 new features of C# 9. And in the second video I will discuss about the new enhancements on the pattern matching in C# 9. And also I will be discussing about 5 new features supported by the C# 9. And in the third video there are some features which are proposed in C# 9 such as a data class and some other features which we cannot practically observe now. So once these features are supported by the IDE, then I will be releasing the third video. Now let us first understand what are the features that we are going to discuss in this videos. The first feature which I would like to discuss is the top level programs. Then the second feature which I would like to discuss in this video will be init only properties. And the third feature which I would like to discuss in this video will be records. And the fourth feature which I will discuss in this video will be with expressions. And the last feature of this video will be target typed new expressions. So friends, please watch this video fully to understand these features. If you need, set the speed to 1.5x also, but watch completely. Friends, before I start with this video, if any of your friends are interested in learning Python from me, then in our website technoacademy.net, I have created a learning path called as Python Programming Complete Learning Path, which will consist of 6 courses, where the first course is the beginner level course where we will learn the fundamentals of Python programming step by step. And then the second course will be mastering object oriented programming with Python. The third course will be on the mastering solid design principles using Python, and the fourth course will be a case study, and these 4 courses is available on our website. Another 2 courses, one is Python Essentials for Data Science, where I will cover NumPy, Pandas, Matplotlib, interacting with the database and web scraping, etc. And the last course will consist of the new features introduced in Python 3.8 and 3.9. And this course will be continuously updated whenever there is a new feature introduced in Python. As an early bird offer, all these courses will be for only $15, and there won't be any additional charges and fees you need to pay once the other courses, that is Data Science Essentials and new features of Python, are released. Thank you. Now let us get started. First, let me open my Visual Studio for Mac. Let me create a new solution. I would like to use a C# console project, and let me provide the name for the application as CS9 demos. Now let me first set the C# language version to be used, that is version 9, right? So let me right click on our project CS9 demos, and you can observe currently the C# language version is default. Now we can either select version 9, or if you wanted to test some preview features of C# 9 language, then it is advisable to use the C# language version as preview. Since I wanted to test all the C# 9 features including the preview features, I selected the preview, and let me click on OK button to apply. Now if you observe the very first program in any language these days, what we learn is hello world, right? The same program is visible on the screen, which I don't like. So let me change the statement to console.writeline. Welcome to C# 9 programming world, Shekhar. Great. Now let me execute this program. Awesome. We got the statement displayed on our terminal. So what is new in the above code means nothing. This is a traditional C# language code for a console application. and I have been writing C Sharp code for almost 20 years now. Even though the official release of C Sharp was in 2002, and this program usually remains the same in almost all my classes as the first program, only the version I won't be mentioning. But when I observe other programming languages such as Python or Dot or Kotlin languages, we don't need this much amount of boilerplate code for writing some basic functionalities, right? And always I wanted this to happen with C Sharp language. Now fortunately we have been introduced with top level programs where we can write the C Sharp code directly without using any boilerplate code. So what is the meaning of my statement means? Now let me comment the entire code what I have written, and I can directly write my C Sharp code. For example, console.writeline of welcome to C Sharp 9 programming world shaker, and let me write one more console.writeline statement, top level programs shaker. And to make it look simple, let me remove the commented code and let me execute the program. We can observe the statements what I have written has been displayed on the terminal. Now let us verify if we can write any statements other than displaying some content on the console. Let me first comment the above lines. I just wanted to display a multiplication table using the top level programs. So let me type in console.write of enter a number and then int number equal to int.parseof console.readline. Now for this number I would like to generate the table. For that let me take the support of a for loop and let me update the initial value to 1 and the condition as lesser than or equal to. Now within the loop let us use writeline statement to generate the table. So let me type in console.writeline of number times I equal to number times I. Now let me save this code and execute this program. Let me specify the value for the number as 5 and we can observe 5 table has got generated. Now let us verify if we can have the local functions within the top level programs. So let me define a local function. For that let me type in void generate table of int number and then let me cut the for loop statement and let me place it within the local function. We can observe some warning. Now let me just invoke the local function generate table of number. Once again let me execute the code and let me provide the value as 5 and we can observe the table got generated for the number 5. Some important points we need to remember about top level programs are any statement is allowed. The top level program code has to occur after the using statements and before any type of namespace declaration in the file. The most important point we need to remember is that the top level program can be present only in one file within the project. Top level programs supports async and await. Command line arguments are also supported as magic parameters. We have observed local functions can also be defined. But remember that we cannot use these functions outside of the top level programs code. Whenever we wanted to write some C# code to verify if the code will work or not, for example to get the difference between two dates, calculating the elapsed time while executing the code, etc., then we can take the support of top level programs. I hope you have understood the top level programs, right? Now let us observe the next new feature of C# 9, that is init only properties. Let us understand this feature practically. I have created a new file with the name init only setters demo. First let me cut the init only setters from the class name and let me define that as a sub namespace so that I won't be getting the class name ambiguity at the later stage. And also I don't require a constructor, so let me remove that code also. Now let me explain my requirement. I would like to define a class product with product ID, product name and the fixed price such a way that once the instance for the product class is initialized with some values, then again I don't want the user to reset the value for any of the properties. For this type of requirement, we can take the support of a new feature of C# 9 called as init only properties. So let us continue with our demo. So let me type in class product and let me define the properties for product ID, product name and the fixed price. But if we keep this syntax, then the value for these properties can be updated any number of times, right? But if you recollect, our requirement is once the properties has been initialized, then once again we should not allow the users to modify the values of the properties. For that, instead of using set block, we need to use init keyword. So let me update our class product by replacing the set with init. Now if you observe, we are getting an error. So there is a small workaround to resolve that error. So first let us check out what is that error. We can observe that predefined type system.runtime.compilerservices.isExternalInit is not defined or imported. So to resolve this error, the workaround is simply create a static class with the name isExternalInit with the system.runtime.compilerservices namespace within our project. So let me create a new file with the name isExternalInit. Now first let me remove the entire code and then let me type in the code as per the requirement. First let me import the namespace. So let me type in using system.componentModel. Next we need to define the namespace. So let me type in namespace system.runtime.compilerservice. Within that I need to use an attribute editor browsable of editor browsable state.never, and we need to define the class isExternalInit. So let me type in public static class isExternalInit. We don't require any definition for this class, just we need to maintain this class within our project. Now once again let me flip back to our demo code and we can observe the error at the init statement has been resolved. Now let me override the toString method for displaying the object properly. So let me type in override toString, and within that let us define the return statement to be used, that is return product ID, and within that let us define the return statement to be used. Now within the class demo let me add an entry point svm and let me press the tab 2 times, and now let me define an instance for the product class. So let me type in var p equal to new product, and let me use an object initializer to initialize the properties of this object. So let me type in braces product ID equal to TV101 and the product name equal to LG Golden ITV, and then finally the fixed price equal to 9500. Now let me try to change the name of the product. So let me type in p.product name equal to, instead of LG Golden Eye, I would like to set the value as Shaker Diamond Eye TV, and we can observe there is an error which states that init only property can only be assigned in an object initializer or within the instance constructor or within the init statements, which means that we cannot set the value for the init only properties once the property is initialized. So let me comment that above line and let me display the product details. So let me type in console.writeline of p.toString. Now let me save the code and let us set the main class for the execution. So let me right click on the application and let me click on the options, and within the build section let me click on the general, and we need to set the main class. So let me type in cs9 demos dot init only setters dot demo and let me click on OK. Now remember that already we have written the top level program in this application. Now we have set the main class to be used as an entry point from the init only setters dot demo class. Okay, now let us execute the application, and we can observe a runtime exception which states that cannot specify main if there is a compile time unit with top level function exists, which means that whenever we have a top level program, then explicitly we cannot set an entry point from a different main class. So let me open the previous program and let me comment our top level program code, and once again let me execute this program. We can now observe the code has been executed successfully. So just remember that whenever we wanted to define a property or an indexer to be initialized only once at the time of constructing the object, then we can take the support of init only setters. Hope you have got a clear idea on the init only setters. Now let us understand the next new feature of C# 9, that is record. So what are records means? Just remember that records are used to define an immutable reference type. That is, once the instance of the record has been defined, then we cannot modify the values of any properties of the record instance. So what are records means? Just remember that records are used to define an immutable reference type. That is, once the instance for the record has been defined, then we cannot modify the values of any properties of the record instance. Now let us understand this feature practically. So let me first create a new file with the name records demo. Let me first remove the constructor and then let me cut the records and use that as a subname space to avoid the class name ambiguity. Now let me define a record with the name employee. So let me type in public record employee, and I would like to use employee number, name, salary and the department number as the properties for the employee. So let me quickly define those properties. Now as we know that the records are defined to define immutable reference type, right? So for the properties what we have defined within the record, we don't have to use the set statement. So let me remove the set statements from all the properties. Now let me define a constructor for the record. So let me type in public employee of int envo comma string ename string. Oops, salary should be in decimal. So let me update the data type for the salary property as decimal. Now let me continue decimal salary comma int department number. Let me use the expression bodied members for the constructor. So let me type goes to, let me define a tuple with the properties for the record. So let me type in employee number, employee name, salary, department number equal to envo comma ename comma salary comma dnvo. Remember, like classes, even records supports the concept of inheritance. So let us observe that. So let me type in public record salesman colon employee, and the salesman class additionally requires one more property called as commission. So let me type in prop decimal commission get. And then let us define the constructor for the salesman record also. To make it simple, let me copy the employee constructor code and let me paste that, and let me change the employee to salesman, and then let me add one more argument, that is decimal commission, and let us invoke the base class constructor. So let me type in colon base of, let us pass the values for all the arguments of the base class constructor. So let me type in employee number, employee name, sal, department number goes to commission equal to commission. Now let me define an entry point and let us create an instance for the record salesman. So let me type in var s equal to new salesman of 101 shaker 10,000 10 500. Now let me try to change the employee number. So let me type in s dot employee number equal to 103, and we can observe an error which states that property or indexer cannot be assigned to as it is read only. So remember that as we have used record for defining the class, all the properties will become like init only properties. Now let me comment and let me type in error. Now let me display the details of the employee. So let me type in console.writeLine statement. Now let me set this class as the main class and let me execute the program, and we can observe the result. One important point we need to remember here is that like classes, even for the records, we can restrict the users from inheriting the record. For that we need to use the sealed keyword. So let us verify that also. Let me add a new keyword sealed and let us inherit the salesman record. So let me type in public record part-time employee inherits salesman. Now we can observe an error because the salesman is a sealed class. So let me comment this line and add a statement error. So just remember that init only properties are great if we wanted to make an individual properties as immutable. And if we want the entire object to be immutable, then it is advisable to use the records. They are lightweight and we can define properties, methods, operators, and they can support inheritance pretty much. Everything is similar to that of a class, right? But there is one major difference. When we perform the equality checks, records uses the data for the verification. Now let me explain this with a simple demo. Let me create a new class and let me specify the name of the class as records2demo. Let me remove the constructor and let me use the records2 as a subname space. And now let me define a class with the name student, which should maintain the details about the roll number and the student's name and the last name. So let me type in class student and let me define the properties for the roll number, first name and the last name. Remember that in this example, I'm not removing the set block. Then it indicates that all the record properties will become mutable. Okay, now let me add an entry point within the demo class. And let me first create an instance for the student class. So let me type in var s1 equal to new student of 101, Shaker, Srinivasan. Now, and let me create one more instance for the student class. So let me copy the above line and paste. And let me update the object name as s2. Now let us try to compare these two objects, whether they are same or not. So let me type in if s1 equal to s2, then let me display the message as both students are same. So let me type in console.writeLine of both students are same. Else let me display console.writeLine of both students are different. Along with these statements, for better understanding, let us display the object hash code also. So let me type in console.writeLine of s1.getHashCode, and similarly let me display the hash code of the s2 object. Finally, let me set this class as the main class and execute. We can observe the result. We got a message stating both students are different, and also we can observe the hash code values are different for both the objects. Now let me verify what will be the result we will get if we define the student class as a record. So let me replace the class keyword as a record, and once again let me execute the program. We can now observe the statement both students are equal, and also we can observe the hash code for both the objects remains the same. Now let us remember one important point, that is, whenever we use the records, the comparison of objects will be performed based on their data only. If the data is same for the objects, then the hash code of the objects will also be same. Now let us verify if there is a change in the data. So let me quickly update the last name of the S1 object. So let me type in S1 dot last name equal to Srinivasan. Once again let me execute the code, and this time we can observe the statement both students are different, and also we can observe there is a change in the hash code values of both objects. Hope you have understood the usage of records in C# 9. Now let us understand the next new feature of C# 9, that is with expressions. Just remember that when we are working with the immutable data, the most common task we perform will be creating a new values from existing ones to represent the new state, and this technique is popularly called as a non-destructive mutation. Now let us understand some important points about the with expressions. They use object initializer syntax to state what is different in the new object from the old object. We can set multiple properties using the with expression. The with expression causes the copy constructor to get called and then applies the object initializer on top to change the properties accordingly. Now let us observe this feature practically. So let me create a new file and let me provide the name as with expression demo. Let me once again remove the constructor and update the namespace name. Let me create a new record. So let me type in public record student, and then let me define some properties for this student class. So let me type in prop int roll number, and let me use init instead of set. Similarly, let me define two more properties. One is student name and the other one is course name. Now let me define a constructor to initialize the members of the record. So let me type in public student int roll number comma string s name comma string c name goes to roll number comma student name comma course name equal to rno comma s name comma c name. And let me use the magic of video and update the toString method for displaying the student object properly. Now let me add an entry point for the class and let me create an instance for the student. So let me type in var stu1 equal to new student, and the roll number is 101. Name of the student is Shekhar and he is interested in Xamarin. Now let us say Shekhar is also interested in Flutter. Then we can create a new instance using var stu2 equal to new student of 101 comma Shekhar, as the students is same, but now the course I would like to attend is Flutter. So I need to pass the course name as Flutter, right? So this is how we create a new instance, right? Now let us display these two object details. So let me type in console.writeLine of student1.toString and console.writeLine of student2.toString. Now let me set this class as the main class and let me execute the program. As expected, we have got the result. Now everything is working fine, but assume that if the student record consists of 40 properties and if we have the same above requirement, that is creating an instance, using the above method will not be advisable. So in the previous version, if this kind of requirement comes, we will provide a copy constructor so that we can create a new object using the old object, and then we shall update the new object property as per the requirement. Now that can be handled in a much more efficient way using our new C# 9 feature with expressions. So let me first comment the instance of student 2. Let me type in var student 2 equal to student 1 with course name equal to Flutter. Now let me execute the application. We will get the same result. Hope you have understood the usage of with expression. And now we are almost at the end of this video. And the last feature we will be discussing in this video is the new expression from C# 9.0 onwards. We can omit the type in the new expression when the created object's type is already known. Now let us observe this feature practically. Now let me update the above code. Instead of using the var keyword, let me use the record type. So let me first comment the statement and let me type in student1 equal to new student of 101 comma Shekhar comma Xamarin. We know that this syntax is available from the earlier version of C#, right? Now from C# 9 we don't have to mention the record type or class name for the new expression. So let me remove the class name student and once again let me execute the code. We can observe we got the same result. The most common use of this feature is while defining the field declarations. Hope you have understood these 5 new features of C# 9. And before I conclude this video, I would like to thank Mats Torgersen, the principal program manager of C#, who manages the C# language design process and the C# language specifications, from whom I came to know personally about the new features of C# 8 and the future versions of C#. And also I would like to thank Mahesh Chand, the founder of C# Corner, who provided me the opportunity to share the same dais as co-speaker along with Matt Torgersen. In the next video, I will explain another 5 new features of C# 9. Friends, if you like my videos and if you feel that my channel deserves more subscribers, please subscribe my channel. This encourages me to create more videos. And also please share this video as this might help out someone who is looking out for these concepts. Thank you. See you in the next video. Yours, Shekhar Srinivasan.